hello. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nicole Jones. I'm beyond excited to be your keynote speaker this morning. So listen, I love what Helena just said. And let me thank you, Helena, for having me and all the advisory board of R.I.S.E. And this is our third year, but here's the difference. We're in the middle of a pandemic. So us needing to rise is more critical than it ever has been before, right? And so with that said, I'm going to share my screen because I have so much to give you this morning and I want to make sure you don't miss a thing. So hold on one second. Let me get my slides together. So what I'm going to share with you this morning, if my slides would not act crazy on me, right, is how to be resilient in challenging times. The keys to rise no matter what. So again, our need to rise is more apparent, more needed than it ever has been before, right? And so what you may not know about me is if you don't have a pen and a paper, shame on you, because I'm coming to do more than empower you or inspire you, right? Because if you leave with just inspiration, you have nothing but a little bit of hope. But I need you to activate what I'm going to learn with you or teach you this morning and what you're going to learn all day long, right? So grab a pen and a paper because I go all the way in, those of you that don't know me, right? So to give you context for our journey, let me explain to you about what it means to be resilient now, again, more than ever, because we're in the midst of this pandemic, right? So what does resilient mean? And my clicker's not working. So if you hear me clicking, just another clicker, you'll see me look down from time to time at my slides. So I stay on point, right? So resilient means to spring back, to rebound, to return to the original form or position after being bent, compressed, or stretched. So here's what I want you to get. We're not going back to our original position, right? The world we knew, the way we knew it, will never go back to how we knew it. That's over. So I'm not here for who you already are. I'm here for who you have not yet become. So it's not about returning to the original. It's about stretching past to do it in a different way. That is what it means to me, at least this year, to rise, right? And I'm sharing this with you because there was a time in my own career, my own journey that I too had to rise. So this year marks 27 years that I've been doing what I do, even though I'm still only 28, right? And so here's what I want you to even understand about that. So back in 1993, I had the job I have dreamed of ever since I was a little girl. I was working in the entertainment industry. So at the time, I worked for Viacom's largest cable network. We had an outreach to over 89 million homes on a weekly basis. Now, from there, I was elevated into a casting position for the number 1 TV show on Fox. And then from there, I was privileged to work with a production group, and what we produced generated over $12.6 billion a year. See, I was doing all of that. Plus, I was going to all the hot Hollywood parties, right? I was bumping elbows with all the stars, people you've seen on TV and have looked at on films. See, I was living the dream. But can I tell you, it became my nightmare. Now, don't get me wrong, Hollywood was great. But what was happening for me is I felt like something was missing. Now, I was tormented by that because, again, this was the job I have dreamed of ever since I was 7 years old. And how can I feel like something was off or something was missing? So in the middle of me feeling dazed and confused, one of my good girlfriends invited me to volunteer at a program at our church one night. And as I walked into that church and started working with young women, something inside of me came alive. Now, keep in mind, again, I had the job I always dreamed of. I loved every minute of it. I felt like something missing. And that night, as I worked with young women, their eyes lit up. And as their eyes lit up, my heart lit up. And I realized, oh my God, this is what I was born to do. But I didn't know what to call this thing. Again, this was 1993. There was no such thing as a coach. But yet again, my soul was alive. And so I had a decision to make. And so I'm sharing that with you because at that moment, I felt like I was at a crossroad. And many of you are at that same crossroad right now. See, for you, maybe that crossroad is stretching you, right? It's stretching you in the middle of the coronavirus. It's stretching you to start a business. It's stretching you to find that role that's next for you, right? Because maybe you're like me, you love where you work, and it's time for a new seat on that bus, right? Or maybe you need to leave that job because your boss just doesn't appreciate your brilliance. Or maybe it's just to choose you for a change. If any of these things sound like you, I want you to know that what I'm getting ready to walk you through is definitely for you. And definitely where I was some 27 years ago, right? See, again, I had the job I dreamed of, and yet here I was. So to make an even longer story short, I felt like now I wasn't in coronavirus then, but I felt like a caterpillar trying to become a butterfly. And many of you are in that same COVID cocoon, all of us, right? And here's what I want you to know about a caterpillar, what many people don't realize. So I studied caterpillars, like turning into a butterfly years ago as I was preparing for a workshop with a group of my clients. And what many people don't realize is this: when a caterpillar goes into a cocoon, it doesn't automatically come out. It has to fight its way out. First of all, it's in the dark. It's in the dark for hours. And so it has to fight its way out in the dark. And even after it comes out of that cocoon, it hangs around for 4 hours with no wings. So it can't go back to being a caterpillar, but it can't yet fly. And so that is a place I felt like I was in that moment when I was at that crossroad. Many of you were in that place right now, where maybe you fought your way out. Maybe you've shifted some things. Maybe you've already made some pivots, but you can't yet fly. You don't feel like you're there yet. See, for me, what I realized is this: it was time for me to come outside my comfort zone. See, your comfort zone is you wanting it to be like it used to be. You wanting it to be like it was in 2019, like it was in February, right? Being in your comfort zone is you wanting it to be easy. Being in your comfort zone is you not wanting to make the shift you know you need to make. See, for me, standing in that church that night in 1993, I realized in that moment that decision I had to make was calling me to expand my territory. It was calling me outside of my comfort zone. So listen, what I want you to know is your comfort and your conviction can never coexist. You can expect to be successful in comfort. Ask Oprah. Ask Beyonce. Do I need to keep going on? Ask any woman that you greatly admire. And I'm saying woman, right? Even dare I say, and her name just went out of my head. I'm having a senior moment. The woman that wrote Harry Potter, you guys know who she is. I cannot think of her name for the life of me right now, right? Do you know she got turned down 9 times before she got a publisher? You think she was living in comfort? I can go on and on. Susie Orman, who was living below the poverty line and had to learn financial skills that shifted everything. And so I just stopped by this morning to make you uncomfortable, yes, but to come after your rise. See, for me, I realized to get out of my cocoon, I had to press through my fear. I had to say yes to the fierce inside of me. So let me explain to you what both of these are. So let's talk about fear for a moment, right? And hopefully you'll see where you are in this continuum while I'm sharing this with you, okay? So fear is difficulties, challenges, frustrations, which usually happen because it's time to grow, right? When something is being difficult, you've got to learn something new. A challenge means you got to learn something new. Do I need to go on or do you get it, right? Looking at things through the glasses of your past. Now, I can tell you story after story. I hope my husband can't hear me, right? I can tell you story after story about the men I dated before my husband that I felt like I was in the same movie. I'm like, can I get out of this movie? Like I had the same script over and over again. But what I realized is I had to grow me. It had nothing to do with them and everything to do with me. That's a whole workshop by itself, right? Indecision or doubt, the root of any excuse or self-sabotage. You know, the excuses you make, like I'll do that when my kids graduate from college. I'll do that when I lose 20 pounds. Now, unless you teach a weight loss, why do you need to lose weight to do anything that you are feeling rumbling inside of you? Do I need to go on, right? Any excuse of why you can't do the thing that's rumbling inside your soul. Procrastination, you know, I'm getting ready to. See, getting ready to is a choice. You know, when you say I'm going to try, it's a choice. And really, it's a choice for you to really say, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to say I'll try. So what I want to encourage you today, starting today, right, is that you say yes or no. There's no more try. There's no more I'm getting ready to. Either you're going to do it or you're not. Worrying about being judged or criticized, perception. See, part of my problem, since we're friends now, right, to be completely honest with you, is when I was feeling tormented by what I was feeling, I was worried about what people would have to say about me leaving, this Hollywood dream. And many of my friends did think I was crazy, but I had to care less about what they had to say and care more about what I felt like God was speaking to my soul, right? Thinking that what you did before would work to accomplish what you want to do next, right? There's a favorite quote that I got from one of my good girlfriends, right? That says, the tools you've used on this level are not sufficient for your next. I know it's in the slide deck, so you'll see it in a minute. And so oftentimes we try to use yesterday's success to propel us to our next success, and understand that if you're going to expand where you are, it's going to require another level of you, right? So what you've got to begin to do is really understand that you have two choices when you're feeling fear. And again, fear is anything that's keeping you where you are in that comfort zone, right? Fear is masked in so many things. You know, a couple of years ago, I started trying to live this sugar-free diet, and I realized sugar was in everything. Well, the same way that sugar is in so much stuff, fear is in everything, right? Anything where you're doubting, when you're second guessing yourself, when you're unsure, fear is laced in there, right? Procrastination, and go on and on. So what you got to realize is fear can be one of two things. You can either face everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. Hello, rise. So I'm here for your rise. And so in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the 4 steps to press towards your rise, right? Now, those of you that are going to make me feel old, how many of you guys remember a Weeble Wobble? I actually have a Weeble Wobble, right? You remember these back in the day? Remember these? Can you see my Weeble Wobble? Right? And it just keeps going back and forth, right? And so many of you guys go back between run and rise. You go back in indecision. Don't make me feel old, right? How many of you guys remember these? Remember the commercial, Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. So that means that you sit in indecision. It pulls you back and forth. But here's the thing I want you to get. Today is the day that you decide. If you want this day, you're investing in this day to join us here at Rise. So if you're investing your time, why don't you invest in doing what it takes to move what you learned today forward? Oh yeah, I'm coming for you, right? So what I'm going to do is walk you through the 4 steps to push you all the way to the rise side. You ready? 4 steps to press towards your rise. This is how successful women are resilient. This is how you rise no matter what. All right. So here we go. First, let me give you a free gift. Let me tell you why I'm giving you this free course. Make sure you grab your phone out now and text. Put the number in 323-498-1308 and text the word press, hit send. You'll get a text back and it asks for your email address. And so in your email box, you'll get a quick mini course called Press for It, only because I only have so much time here with you. And I want to make sure I give you more. So this will be in complement to what I teach you here. But for those of you that really know it's time for you to press for it, it's time for you to press ahead toward what's next for you, toward that rumble in your soul, whether it's to start a business or grow your career or whatever that is, then this is going to complement what I'm going to teach you today. Okay, again, text 323-498. Do it now, because you know you'll say I'll do it later and you won't remember if you're like me. 323-498-1308. Write press, hit send. You'll get a text back. Just write your name, your email address in that text. Hit, send that. And then in your email box, Press for It will be there for you. All right. So let's get this party started. Step 1 to rise is remember who you are. And sorry, my face is over part of that. Remember who you are. Now, those of you that saw Black Panther, spoiler alert, I'm not going to mess up the movie for you, but this is Angela Bassett from that movie. One of my favorite scenes from that movie is when King T'Challa is in his first fight. And he gets, he is knocked out by the Bear King, right? I can't think of his name. I think it's Jabari, right? And he is like not getting up. His mother says, remember who you are. That's my horrible accent, by the way. And right when she says it, it clicks in, right? And so here's the thing I want you to get. There's a formula called be, do, have. So something I work through with my clients. See, they call us human beings, but we're not. We're human doings. So we focus so much on what we do, what we do, what we do, what we do, what we need to do to get that raise, what we need to do to start that business, what we need to do to shift our career, what we need to do. But what if you stopped and checked in on who you be, or checked in with your being? If you spend a little time to check in with you. So for me, in that moment when I was at that crossroad, when I felt like something was missing, it wasn't until I stopped and realized I had been looking for an outside answer to an inside yearning. See, it's be plus do that gets you to what you really want to have, right? So when I think about this in my own journey, that's a picture of me at 3, right? So the thing is, who that rumble inside of you, what you need next, is not about what you need to do. It's about who are you? Like who do you be is what I mean to say. I know that's bad English, but how else could I say that, right? So listen, at 3, now most 3-year-olds that have a baby carriage have a baby in that carriage. Yeah, I don't have any kids, right? There's no baby in the carriage. I have wonderful bonus children. I actually have 3 grandchildren because of my bonus children. But guess what? I haven't pushed anything out, no stretch marks, right? Hallelujah. But here's the reason I'm sharing that with you at 3. I didn't have a baby in my carriage. I have papers and books. See, I've always been a natural born producer. So in my first career, what I worked in is talent management and casting, really taking people's gifts and putting them in the right role. When I shifted my career and became an entrepreneur, what I do now with women is I help you create multiple streams of income from what you know. I produce you, right? I've been her all my life. What I realized when God shifted my territory in that moment is he was expanding how I used my gift. It required me to learn some things and to do some different things. But the first thing I had to do was remember what was already in me. I had to remember my distinct natural ability, right? And this is what I call living in your fears, right? So those of you that were in my workshop last year, y'all know about this. I'm not going to talk about it a lot. I'm going to go through this quickly, but I need you to get this. So, right? Of course, you all know who Beyonce is. So the interesting thing about Beyonce is what many people don't stop and realize is when she made up her alter ego, Sasha Fierce. Do you guys remember that? So it was because for years she had been on stage with other women in Destiny's Child. For years, she had people alongside her, comfortable. And she had this rumble inside of her to do it solo, which was scary. Hello, fear. So in order for her to stand on stage by herself, she had to create this alter ego called Sasha Fierce, right? And so I want you to take a minute and think about this. Think about what life is like when you stand in the full power of who you were born to be and who you already are. Think about what your life is like when you touch all the people you're meant to touch, move, and inspire. Think about the things that happen when you work on the team at your job, when you shift that role, when you expand your brilliance to really serve more and do more and be more. Think about all the people's lives or businesses or careers that shift because you start your business or because you shift and do the thing that's rumbling in your soul. That's what I'm talking about when I say remember who you are. It's really tapping into all of you. See, what I know for sure, there's a quote I think actually Steve Harvey said that 95% of people die only using 5% of their gifts and talents. 5%. See, when I die, I want it all out. I want to just play it all out. I want to have used 100% of mine. I want the same for you, right? And so I'm not going to walk through this. Those of you that are not clear what it is, but I have a fierce framework. I'm going to walk through it quick. I'm not going to train you through it, right? But I need you to understand it's passion plus proficiency equals your purpose, plus what problem do you solve? And for my entrepreneurs, it equals profit. For my executive ladies, it equals position at work, okay? So your passion, your proficiency have to correlate. What problem does it solve? And then it's either profit for entrepreneurs or position. But here's what I want you to get when I talk about remember who you are, and I talked about fear a few minutes ago. There are things that happen in the environment of your fears that if you don't rise and work through it, it will keep you living in your comfort zone. Things like phobia, that's fear. By the way, I tried to use all P's again. So, roll with me, right? So I talked about fear already, but here's the other things that come around. Perception. I talked about perception. How many of you are doing things because that's who you have always known yourself to be? One of my clients, phenomenal, she's a CNN correspondent now. Her name is Sophia Nelson. Many of you guys may know Sophia, a good friend of mine too. And so Sophia was a lawyer and she had a choice. She could go up or go out. They offered her partner, but she knew in her soul that she wanted to be a journalist. So what did she choose? She didn't choose perception. Look at her now. She's a CNN correspondent, right? She has various articles. She writes articles in various newspapers, right? I just saw her on CNN 2 days ago, right? Other thing is pain, the past. So whether you had a boss that didn't appreciate you and treated you some kind of way, whether that was a divorce you went through, I can go on, but you hold the next based on your ex. Not fair, right? But you learn some lessons there that you'll travel with you, but you don't judge your past or your present based on your past, right? And that'll keep you stuck in comfort. because it might be uncomfortable for you to try something again. It may be uncomfortable for you to start a business again because you failed the first time. It may be uncomfortable for you to get married again because you failed the first time or it didn't work the first time. It may be uncomfortable to shift positions into a new career because maybe the last time you did that, it didn't work. But you learn some valuable lessons in that place. Leave those lessons there and move forward, right? Or pressure, the pressure to stay where you are, the pressure to be who everyone else thinks you should be, the pressure. So I want you to be clear, which of these four are keeping you in your COVID cocoon right now? Which of these four are not tapping into who you be? Which of these four is the biggest hurdle to your ability to rise, right? So listen, I love this picture of the baby cub and the lion behind her, right? So all this is about is you growing who you already are. See, for me, it was about who I had not yet become. It wasn't about who I already was. See, I was doing some great things. And so that moment I had to realize it wasn't about what I had already done. It's about what I had not done yet. So that is the moment that I say yes to the fierce inside of me. And so again, I want to remind you that nothing happens in comfort. Success does not happen in comfort. Okay. So that's step one. Remember who you are. Let's move into step two. Step two is setting an intention. So what do you want? Right? You know, what's interesting is oftentimes we don't sit and really get clear on what we want. So I love that you guys have workshops today. You have breakouts, right? And so it's encompassing all these various things. So as you go to those breakouts, I want you to get clear and get strategy to move forward. What do you really want? First, I want you to stop and think about what is it that you really, really want? And what's the dream that scares you? See, for me, back in 1993, part of it was I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never set out to be a CEO. I never wanted to do this, right? So that scared me. And so for you, what is it that you really, really want? Get clear on that so that you can be committed to get the strategy you need when you go to your breakouts. So if I choose one area to talk about for me, when I say yes to the fierce, to the rumble inside my soul, it was to start a business. So my vision back then was to serve millions of women all over the world. It was to work in my fierce, my brilliance full time. It was to have multiple ways to work with women. It was a freedom to travel. And my business doesn't stop because I love to travel. It was to build a team so that I didn't have to do this all by myself. And because I got clear on my vision, because I wrote my vision and I began to activate my vision, I've been able to see it happen, right? So I have clients in Singapore and Aruba. I have clients all over the world, right? I've been generating multiple six figures for the past 5 years. I have 6 revenue streams in my business. Listen, I travel and my business doesn't stop. Now I gave an example there, but the one that I love the most is was that last year? Maybe it was a year before. My husband surprised me on Valentine's Day and we went to Dubai. Well, I didn't have to ask for the time off because I am my own boss and my business generated revenue while I wasn't there, right? So I can go on and on, but I'm sharing this with you because I want you to be clear in what you want, because when you do, it gives you freedom to go and get it. All it requires is strategy. You know, I was on a mastermind call a couple of years ago. Ayala Van Zandt was leading that call, and she said, if your goals, your dreams don't make you want to pee on yourself sometimes, and yeah, I said pee, you're not dreaming big enough. So of course your dreams are supposed to scare you because they're bigger than where you are. And if you're going to go after your abundantly above all you could ever ask or think, it's going to be bigger than what you could ask or even think of, right? So give yourself the freedom to dare ask for it. You know, my aunt has always said to me, don't limit God's ability to bless you, right? So don't limit what's possible for you. Write it out. So your homework is, if you don't have a vision board, write one, create one, right? If you do, then look at it and up level it. Stretch yourself, right? What is it that you really, really want? Write it out so that you can begin to go after it, which leads us to step number 3. It just takes strategy. All it takes to make it happen is strategy. So my favorite way to talk about strategy is David and Goliath, right? Now, I love David and Goliath. David and Goliath is a story we've all heard since we were little, right? So real quick, let me just give you my take on David and Goliath. So David, let's say he was little like Webster. How many of you guys remember Webster? Am I aging myself? The TV show Webster in the 80s? So if you don't know Webster, I used to say the little boy in Blackish, but he's too big now. But imagine David is 12, so he's little, right? Goliath is like the Rock. Whew, with his fine self. Let me give him a moment of silence, right? So he's like the rock times 10. So he's like 10 feet tall. He's huge. And everyone is afraid of Goliath, right? The army won't fight him. The Navy won't fight him. The Marines won't fight him. Nobody will fight Goliath. And he is terrorizing the town. So a little boy says, I'll fight him. David, you will? Now, here's the thing I want you to get. Going through our first two steps, he remembered who he was. So in that moment, King Saul says to David, well, here, let me give you my armor. You can wear my armor. Now, King Saul is a grown man, right? So David is 12. He puts that armor on and it's way too big. So he's like, I can't do this with this on. See, he remembers who he is. He says to himself, now, listen, I don't know David. I don't know if he said it out loud or to himself, but he knows he's good with the slingshot. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to do me. And then he was strategic. He started planning out how he was going to do it, right? And so all you got to do is create strategy. And then even with strategy, he then went out, he hit the giant in between the eyes, and the rest is history. Goliath was no more, right? But I said this a few minutes ago, the tools you've used on this level are not sufficient for your next. Sometimes you're trying to use strategy that you've already had instead of getting strategy for your next level. Sometimes that requires a coach or someone that's 10 steps ahead of you. So be mindful. If you can't figure it out, then guess what? It's just that it's more advanced than where you are. Get in alignment with someone that can help you create the strategy. That's why Serena Williams has a coach. That's why LeBron James has a coach. I could go on and on. That's why great players have coaches, because it helps them grow who they are, right? So that's step 3, is strategy, right? Now we're coming into the home stretch, which this one is my favorite one. But before I give you this, I just want to remind you, I'm giving you this free gift because, again, I can only give you so much. You're going to need more to press for it. So if you didn't do it earlier, here's your time while I take a sip of my coffee to grab your free gift. All right. You ready for our last and final step? You ready, you ready, you ready, you ready? So step number 4 is you've got to have endurance. Now I put Chadwick Boseman here because were you in shock when you heard of his untimely death in April? Was that April? God, it seems like this was just, it just seems like it was yesterday, right? Was that April he died? Anyway, let me not start trying to go back through dates. The thing that I'm amazed at is that despite the fact that he was going through chemo, and I don't know if you know anyone that has ever had cancer or gone through any treatment like that. You're really, really sick. You lose so much weight. He pushed through it all and started some of our favorite movies while he was going through all the chemotherapy and treatments, right? So what I know for sure is he gives us great insight on endurance, right? Here are some key lessons that Chadwick Boseman really teaches us, right? He took every other option off the table. He didn't say, listen, I'm sick, so I can't star in this movie and I can't do that movie. He was clear on the thing that he was purposed to do, and he was going to do it no matter what, right? He focused and he went after it, right? He didn't focus on what he couldn't do. He focused on what he could do, right? I remember hearing one of the actors that were in Five Bloods. I didn't see the movie. My husband did. I can't think of think I'm saying the title right. Anyway, one of the actors couldn't understand why his girlfriend was there and why he had this Chinese medicine doctor giving him massages and doing treatments, right? While they were on set. Now, no one knew he was sick. But what Chadwick was doing was he was focusing on what he needed to do so that he could be who he needed to be. Do you guys get that? He was enduring. He wasn't going to quit. He wasn't going to give up. He did it no matter what, right? He did it no matter what. And for some of you, you're saying things like, this is too hard. The coronavirus is going to stop me. Mm-hmm. You're saying things like, well, I can't do this like this because I'm in COVID-19. Instead of figuring out what you need to do to shift, to pivot, right? I have an annual event every October. It was a couple of weeks ago. And it's usually a live event, just like R.I.S.E is a live event. Helena could have easily said, I'm not doing R.I.S E because it's COVID-19. What she did was she pivoted in the middle of this virus to still give you what you need. So the easy way is never the right way. Sitting in your comfort zone is never the place to be. It's all about what will you do in the face of challenge? What will you do in the face of difference? What will you do in the face of frustration? What will you do in the face of COVID-19? We've been here since March. What have you done? Have you been sitting and waiting for things to go back? to normal? Let me tell you right now, there will be no more of that normal. We will have a new normal. What will you do now so you could be who you need to be on the other side of COVID-19? What's that thing that that you've been wanting to start, that you keep starting and stopping? It's like you've been playing double dutch. You go in and you come out. You go in and you come out. How many of you guys remember double dutch from back in the day? Oh, I was a great double dutcher back in the day, right? But you got to stop going in and going out and get in. You don't start jumping double dutch till you jump in, right? But you can go in, you can stand outside of the rope all you want and keep going like this. You guys remember that? You've got to jump all the way in. And guess what? In a double dutch, there's no good time to jump in. You just got to do it, right? Same is true here as you stand in the mirror in COVID-19, as you stand in the mirror and you face the moment to rise. What will you do? What will be your choice? What will be the element that you will become because you said yes in the face of fear, because you said yes and grew who you be, even if you're already successful? See, again, I'm not here for who you already are. I'm coming for who you have not yet become. Who is she? What does she really want? And what will you dare do to go and get it? Will you fight your way out of the cocoon, the COVID cocoon we've been in? Will you fight and push yourself to grow the wings, right? That come when you do what it takes and you do the work to go after the vision, the desire, the thing that's rumbling inside your soul. What will you do? Who will you become because you say yes to it? I want you to imagine that. I want you to imagine that when you say yes to the meaning you are meant to create in this world, how it will bless your family, how it will bless your community, how the up level of who you be will allow you to maybe, for me, I've been able to take my house that I grew up in and totally gut it out and redo it for my mom. And I let her walk through and pick out everything she wanted, even though she's not ready to live there. So I got to rent it out because she's not ready, right? I didn't know that when I was doing it. But the point is, because I said yes in the face of fear, I've been able to do some wonderful things in this world. When there's a cause that you greatly want to give back to, you can give back to that. As a mother, all the moms out there, your children watch you. When they see you being brave and being bold, you teach them the way. So what will be your legacy on the other side of COVID-19? What will be your legacy on the other side of this life? What will people remember you about? Will you die with 5% of your DNA, your distinct natural ability still inside of you? Or will you play full out, right? Mm-hmm. See, saying all this makes the difference between an ordinary athlete who wins an Olympic medal. Hello, Serena Williams, right? All of this makes a difference between a teenage girl who was raped and abused to one day become Oprah. Just even think about Oprah. Oprah got fired from her first TV job, y'all. Fired. I wonder where that man is now. But she didn't give up doing television because she got fired. I'm sure, and Monday I'll get to ask Oprah this. She learned some valuable lessons and she went after her rise. She didn't run from it. She rised because of it. She grew because of it, right? All of this makes a difference between a little Black girl from the South side of Chicago who becomes First Lady of the United States. Hello, Michelle Obama, right? And even Michelle Obama in her book, Becoming, for those of you that read the book, I'm not going to mess up the book for you, those of you that haven't, but in chapter 10, she talks about the fact that she was a lawyer, really, really great at it, but she hated it, right? So there's a difference between what you can do and what you should do. In that moment, she realized that although I can be a lawyer, I don't think I should be doing this because I hate it. And that's that passion and proficiency I talked about in the Fierce framework. You've got to be really, really great at it and you've got to love it. When those two things don't correlate, it's not your purpose. It's not what you are meant to do in this world, right? And so for her, she had a decision to make. And the reason she is who she is because she made that decision. I remember last year I shared this actually at R.I.S.E. and somebody in the room said, so do you think that Michelle Obama wasted her time going to law school? No. Because do you think she'd been a great first lady had she not gone to law school? See, one of my favorite Bible verses is all things work together for the good. All, not some, not a few, not a couple, all. So because of who she be in this world, and because she shifted from the law practices, started doing nonprofit work, executive director of hospitals and doing more community work, that blessed us as our first lady. Y'all get that? See, doing this work makes a difference between a 9-year-old little girl who practices in her backyard every single day after school and during the summer, year after year, to one day become Beyonce. See, there's no such thing as overnight success. But when you put a little extra with your ordinary, it becomes extraordinary. And so, in essence, my desire for you is that you become your extraordinary self. That's what R.I.S.E is all about, right? So to give you a little review of everything I've covered so far, right? This is really about the 4 steps to press toward your rise. So if you haven't figured it out, I did spell out R.I.S E. So R is remember who you are. The next step is to set intention. So as you sit, and I really want you to get this, I really want you to understand that it's not requiring you to be anything that you're not. It's really an up level to who's already in you. So it's not shifting your brilliance, your DNA, it's expanding it. And then setting intention around that expansion, right? One of the women on my team says, if I don't write it, it's not real, right? If I don't write it down, it doesn't happen. So that's why you've got to set an intention. You've got to really be clear in what is your intention. This is the last quarter of 2020. Yeah, this year is not like any other. We know that. What's your intention for now? And what's your intention for 2021? And then next, you got to create the strategy to go and get it, right? You can't just think about it and talk about it. You got to be about it. So what steps do you need to take so that you can and do indeed be about it? And then last but not least, once you remember who you are, once you set intention, once you set strategy, and let me say one other thing about remembering who you are, it just popped in my spirit as soon as I said, remember who you are. You got to let go of perception, let go of what everybody else says you should be or do. And you remember who you've always been, who you've always known yourself to be. And if you don't know don't know her, then let me encourage you to get to know her, to spend time with her. I'm talking about you, to sit in the mirror and love on you, to take yourself out to dinner, to lunch, to spend time with you so you can date yourself and remind yourself of who you already are. And then from there, set intention. And once you set the intention, then get the strategy to go and get it. And then once you remember who you are, you set your intention, you get the strategy to go and get it, then you've got to be willing to endure. It's about not giving up. I call this seed, time, and harvest, right? So think about this: seed, time, and then harvest. Most people put seed, time together. It's seed, time, and then harvest. So there was already a seed planted in you at birth. That's that DNA inside of you. That distinct natural ability, sorry, my allergies are acting crazy. That distinct natural ability that's inside of you, that's the seed that was placed in you at birth. Time is the watering, that's the intention, that's the strategy. That's you doing the work so that you go after it. That's not giving up. So when you plant a seed, think about it. Now, I'm not a gardener, but the one time I planted a flower, I was not intentional. So my plant died, but my flowers died. But here's the thing. When you plant a seed in the ground, you've got to water it over and over and over and over again until you see that seed. So you plant it in the ground. It takes forever before that seed comes out of the ground. But if you ever quit, if you ever stop, if you ever shift in the middle of it, I see so many women do this, start a business and then it's taking too long. So they go do something else and then they go back and then they got to start all over again. Or you shift your job or you shift your role at work and you're like, maybe I should go back. You're going back to comfort. No, stay in it, endure, don't give up, don't settle. Go after you abundantly above all you can ask or think. Be willing to do what it takes, endure. And you will see the reward. Ask Oprah, ask Beyonce, ask Serena, ask Michelle Obama. Again, ask any woman you greatly admire. She has endured. And so that is what it will take to go after your rise. And so I want to encourage you as you go out today, as you spend your time today, get clear on the strategy you need. First, get clear on what you really, really want, right? Then take the time as you go through your breakouts to get the strategy, to hear from the experts, to get insight. And then after you do that tonight, go through your notes and where you need support, reach out for that support. Find a coach, find a shop, find a book, find some way to move it forward, but don't wait. Do it now. Listen, it's been my privilege to coach you and teach you if there's ever any way. Now, of course, you're going to get a free gift from me, those of you that grab that gift, right? But also follow me on Instagram because I'm always giving. Instagram is my new favorite place so we can stay connected. I'm in Roberts Jones on Instagram. And again, I'm NicoleRobertsJones.com is my website. So if there's ever any way I can serve you, but ultimately, I want you to know this. It's time for your rise. What I know for sure is you are not here on an accident. You are here because now is your time. Listen, millions of women could be here at Rise this year because it's virtual, but you're here because now is your time to rise. So take the time to remember who you are, set the intention, get the strategy, and then endure and not give up. My name is Nicole Roberts Jones. It's been my honor to teach you, to share with you, to pour into you. And now it's time for you to go get the strategy you need throughout this day so you can go after your rise. Thank you so much.